Hi, it's another Thursday. I'm your host, Rex Sikes. Welcome to All Things Rex Worldwide. And we're so glad that you're here. My guest today is Sharon Lechter, an internationally recognized financial literacy expert, a keynote speaker, a business mentor, and a New York Times bestselling author. She's also a successful entrepreneur and a philanthropist who has advised two U.S. presidents on financial literacy. Sharon co authored the international best selling book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and 14 other books in the Rich Dad series. She's authored books for the Napoleon Hill Foundation, 3 Feet from Gold, and Outwitting the Devil, and Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich for Women, and Success and Something Greater. She's also featured in the movie Think and Grow Rich, The Legacy, and on the national TV series World's Greatest Motivators. Now, we're going to discuss finances and her suggestions for creating legacy wealth, mindset, her newest book, and much more. Now, during the show, you can ask questions during this live stream and leave comments both live and while watching the replay. The replay uses the same links as the live stream. So immediately after the live stream is concluded, that same link is your replay link. Please share out my shows as always, and always bring a friend. And we're here with Ms. Sharon Lechter. Thank you so much for being here, Sharon. It's great to see you.
I am delighted to be with you, Rex. Been looking forward to it.
Me too. So, Sharon, let's just break right into it. Before we go anywhere talking about finances or mindset or anything, you have a definition for success, which I think is just outstanding and amazing. So, how do you, Sharon, define success?
Well, you would think since I talk about money and financial education, success would have something to do with money. But my definition of success is how you feel about yourself when you look in the mirror. Because truly, we are what we think. And if we're upset with ourselves, then we're not the best we can be. So we are all born uniquely to be the perfect of us. And when you are living your life to the max, making the greatest impact on other people, and you feel good about yourself, that's truly being successful. So it's really the definition of success is how you feel about yourself when you look in the mirror.
And that is truly beautiful. It's truly beautiful because you can be successful anytime. It's not about what you have. It's not about what you do. It's not about it, but about who you are.
It's your beingness. Are you content with who you are? And, we're taught so much to strive for more, strive to do for more. And that's all good. But that is in your own pursuit of what you want, not what someone else wants you to do or not what someone else wants for you. What do you want? Striving to be the best you can be and knowing that you are perfect just the way you are.
Oh, that is so very, very beautiful. Well, with that in mind, Earl Nightingale has said, that success is the steady progression toward a worthwhile goal, which does mean, an evolution of sorts or moving after something. But again, that goal is something outside of you, as opposed to you being enough all by yourself. And I think being enough, but when people find out who they authentically are, they find their infinite riches and their infinite resourcefulness and their infinite opportunities and potential, which is, I mean, how could you not be successful finding those things?
Well, and I think I agree with Earl on the fact that the relentless pursuit of being the best person you can be.
Right.
Definitely.
Right. No, absolutely. So with that in mind, before we get into wealth, let's talk a little bit about mindset, because there are some people who believe you have to do lots and lots and lots of stuff and sacrifice and struggle and work hard. And I wouldn't argue that, but I would say that if the mindset isn't right, most people struggle and toil and spin their wheels. But if the mindset's right, then the efforts that they take after that becomes right action, that they then behave in a way that makes it much more fruitful than trying to fix everything first and then get the mindset right. What can people do from your experience, and because you also worked with the Napoleon Hill Foundation and the books Outwitting the Devil, and what Carnegie and Hill have discussed, how would you tell my audience today, or what would you say to them in terms of, hey, manage your mindset, get it straightened out?
Well, let's start with some simple concepts. Your brain, your mind can not hold positive and negative at the same time. So if you're focusing on negative things, you're going to attract negative outcomes. If you're focusing on positive things, you're going to attract positive outcomes. And when you think about money, I challenge you to think about, what did you hear about money from your parents when you were little? Did you hear things like money doesn't grow on trees, pinch your pennies, save for a rainy day, or my most favorite, we can't afford it? What do all those things have in common? They're negative. So you grow up money negative, money negative, money negative. No wonder we end up with scarcity mindset. And we're taught to chase money. All right. And it's really important to understand where that came from, because that scarcity mindset doesn't go away overnight. Even when you become successful, if you have a scarcity mindset, you're going to be afraid you're going to lose it. And so you need to address the mindset as much as the money actions. And I teach mindset as it relates to all of my courses, in addition to the actual strategies that you employ to improve your financial position, because that mindset needs to be one of abundance, and you can't get there unless you release the scarcity. I think you're muted.
So there are some people who they're chasing a shiny object. They want success, or they want fame, or they want the house or the car or something like that. And they struggle and toil and they do all the stuff, and they get it. And I know that you've counseled people. I've counseled people, millionaires and billionaires, who they arrive and they're disappointed. It didn't turn out that the things that they wanted, or the pursuit that they spend a lifetime doing, was where they found true meaning. And they I mean, I've sat in people's homes who go, I got all this stuff, but then I'm me at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And
My dear friend Les Brown says you got to be hungry, right? And so when you think about being hungry, is hungry for money, or are you hungry for impact? Because if you're hungry for money, when you become successful, that hunger's gone. And then you say, well, is this all there is? When you hunger for impact, making a positive impact in the world. I had a father that would ask me every night, Sharon, have you added value to someone's life today? Wow. So my entire life has not been focused on money, but on impact. And when you're hungry for impact, that doesn't go away, because there's always more people out there needing to be impact. So ask yourself, what are you driving for? Do you want to create a legacy of positive impact on other people? Or do you want just money in the bank? Because when you get the money, there's this feeling of, okay, is this all there is? So.
Well, and Hill modeled or studied, researched 520 people, and toward the end of his life, he said, of the 520 people who were some of the wealthiest men at that time, obviously, he said only one actually had a good life, and that was John Burroughs, the naturalist, because he sought peace where everybody else sought money or riches. And he said that, I got to spend time with their families, and some of these people died broke, died crazy, died drug addicts or alcoholics, or killed themselves, or went to prison, and their kids were messed up and everything, because all they wanted was money. And then when they got the money, or once they got to the top, then they tried to hold on to the money. So everything that got them to the top was now changed, because now instead of being abundant, they were worried about losing it, and then lived, worried about lack.
Yeah, they were in pursuit of the money at the expense of their relationships. And that's where things go awry. If you're pursuing impact and positive impact in the world, and you're pursuing the power of association, which is what I teach, you get rich through relationships, you get rich through impact, and as a result, your bank account starts filling up. But when you're concentrating on nothing but the bank account, then you end up having issues with the relationships, issues with your associations. And so you have to check yourself. And again, look in that mirror and say, what is it that you truly seek? Because a lot of people, when they pass away, they may have a lot of money, you can't take it with you. And they'll say, I wish I'd spent more time with my family. I wish I'd spent more time creating experiences and memories with my loved ones, as opposed to working so hard at the expense of that.
Well, that is truly wonderful for people to begin to understand. Because let me stop and say, hey, if you're enjoying what Sharon is sharing, because I sure am, go ahead and like the show, share the show out, leave comments, and feel free to ask Sharon questions while we've got her live here right now. Um, again, going back to Napoleon Hill, he said, there is no such thing as a free lunch. It all is a cost. And if you develop money consciousness, you have certain things that you have to do in order to woo money, but it's easily wooed if you know what you're doing. But that there is a price to pay, and some people sacrifice their health, their happiness, their leisure time, their family, their friends, and everything in pursuit of having cash. And as you said, you can't take it with you, or you sacrifice that stuff. So it goes back to your definition of success is how do you feel about yourself, and then the relationships that you have, and whether you're making an impact in the world. And then, together with the ability to associate and connect with other people. I mean, you really have a beautiful wraparound philosophy here that helps to put people in the driver's seat and make them help them go forward.
Well, I think when I wrote Think and Grow Rich for Women, I talked about creating success and significance, because one of the things I think women are much more focused on impact than on money. Not all of them, but and in that I had the last chapter I added, which is the only chapter that's not in the original Think and Grow Rich, and it's called One Big Life, for that exact reason, Rex. I think you have your financial life, you have your fitness, you have your field, your work, you have your friends, you have your fun. All of those things work together to create one big life. Right. And you can be very successful at one at the expense of everything else. And imagine it's like a life wheel. So if all of them, are successful and the other half are not, you have a flat wheel. So you want to be able to focus on all aspects of your life, your fitness, your fine. So many people create success, as you said, at the expense of their health. So fitness, your finance, your faith, right? How do you feel about yourself? Do you feel good about others? Do you have a faith in God? And make sure you invest time in all of those areas, as well as friends and fun. That's an area where I really kind of had to pay attention to and get back to having some fun, because I was so serious all the time. And so all of those things work together to create one big life. And that's really the message that I have in Think and Grow Rich for Women, and something that I share when I'm speaking as well, because it's, again, it comes back to how do you feel about yourself? So if you're really successful, you got a lot of money in the bank, but you don't have any friends, I'm not sure that's success. I think we only get one time around in this lifetime, and to do it alone and grumpy and have a lot of money, I don't think that's a life. I think you want to have a life filled with relationships and fun and family that you care about.
Well, I couldn't agree more. I just a little bit about me. As a young actor in Hollywood, I loved acting so much I wanted to do it all the time. And then when weekends would come along, I'd be upset, because I'm like, I can't act. There's no film crews that are doing things. I can't go on auditions. So I didn't appreciate, or holidays, the Christmas holiday or hiatus. I hated it. I was miserable, because I'm like, I can't pursue this. And it took me a good long time before I went, I'm here to have fun. And I'm not having fun. I mean, I'm having fun when I'm doing it, but if I'm not doing it and I'm not having fun, I need to find a way to make that balance. So I'm having fun and enjoying people and relationships, as you just described. So it's an important lesson. Another thing, there are a number of people who I know that you meet, you consult with, and helped in the world, and I do too. People who have overcome incredible physical disabilities, or have cheated death, if you want to, through cancer, or healed themselves of incredible difficulties or disorders or diseases. And last week we had Mary McManus, who's on, and she had polio and then post-polio disorder, and faced a life of never walking and she had healed herself. There are so many people who do that when it becomes a health crisis. It's kind of like, well, I either die or I get my act together. But what happens to these people who, it's the financial thing. It's I don't have money to pay my rent or my electric bill, or, they're going to foreclose on my house. That if you can overcome all this physical disability and heal yourself, you should be able to overcome financial inability or disability and be able to heal your pocketbook so that you're thriving instead of simply surviving. And yet I don't think people consider it quite the same way. What would you say to them?
Well, I think it's a great question, Rex, particularly what's been happening in the last few years, because people have been downsized or outside, right size, outsized, right, fired, laid off. And so when your entire financial world depends on an employer, you're at the highest level of risk. A safe, secure job is a misnomer. And so you really want to focus, and this is what I teach, on buying, building, creating income producing assets. So it's not what you do for your paycheck that determines your financial future. It's what you do with your paycheck. Are you getting paid and spending it all and it's gone? You have to go back to work to get more money. Or are you reinvesting some of that into your own personal balance sheet by buying, building, creating income producing assets? Because you don't have to have millions of dollars to be financially free. You're financially free when the income from your assets exceeds your monthly expenses. The problem is we're not taught that in school. We're taught to exchange time for money to get a paycheck. And so that's all of my teachings is to get people to understand, let's focus on assets. And when you're just starting out, don't get yourself into a lot of bad debt because that holds you back so much. But if you are in bad debt, let's focus on how to get out of that so that you can start building a future through buying, building, creating assets. Whether you're young or in your 60s or 70s, it's never been easier to make money, but you have to focus on the type of money you're making.
So that's great. I mean, it's never been easier to make money, and yet there are a lot of young people out there right now who do have bad debt, and they don't know what to do, and they don't know how to make ends meet, and or they lost their job or whatever. And so, I know that you teach this, but could you share one or two, a couple of things that they might do? Or how do you save when you have no money to save? They go, my electric's going to be turned off, my rent is due, my car is broken down, I have all these, mounting, my cat needs to go to the vet, or whatever, and I've got all these expenses, and the money's just going out and out and out, and every dollar I get in. How do you tell them, well, save a certain amount, or what?
Well, it starts by determining exactly where you are. You can't really create a plan to get out of debt if you don't know where you really are. My dad said, map doesn't do you any good if you don't know where you are and where you're going. And so the first step is to truly get serious about where you are financially. And sometimes, the picture may not be very pretty, but at least you have it and you know it. And then there are programs out there. I have a program to determine where you start first. How do you get out of that bad debt? How do you start doing something that starts making a little bit of money? We all have products that we love and adore. So many of those companies may have affiliate programs. Join it and start promoting it on your social media. You get a little money from that, a little extra revenue stream. Think about a business you can start. The most successful businesses solve a problem or serve a need. And there's a lot of those, there's a lot of needs and a lot of problems in the world today. So start, how can you provide service to someone and get paid for it? All of those, we've all had successes, we've all had learning opportunities, but what can be turned into intellectual property by writing a book or creating a program that can help other people going through what you've been through. And so many people are stuck because they're in this concept of, I get a paycheck and that's all there is. No, there's so many ways to make money. You may have a home where you need to bring in a roommate for a while to help you cover the expenses. You may have the opportunity to sell whatever it is you're living in and find something that's a little closer to where you work, something that you can share with someone else until you get back on your feet. The issue is you have to make the decision. Each and every one of us is where we are today because of the choices we made before today. If you want something different, you want something better, you have to start making different choices. And so we can lay blame and point fingers and be a victim. You're going to stay where you are. Let's become a victor and say, I'm going to take action and I'm going to make my life better one step at a time and celebrate every little win you have.
Well, so that brings me to something that you're doing every single day, because mindset matters. And for people to begin to feel good about themselves so that they are successful, to be able to take a realistic look at where they're at, and then be able to say, you know what, I am capable and confident that I can be competent at making these changes. You have something that you're doing every day now.
Oh, yes, my ATM is a play on the bank ATM deposits, but it really is more of a when COVID started, I was so upset with all the negativity in the world. And when I get upset about something, I usually start a new company. So I started a program called Daily ATM Deposits, Abundance, Tips, and Mentorship. And it really is I've just done my 850th. It's a daily message of positivity. Sometimes I use other people's quotes. Sometimes it's just me talking to you. And it is really to get you to understand and start your day in a positive mindset, upon a positive frame of reference. And every day I end every ATM with you saying, say it with me, I am fabulous. Say it with me, I am fabulous. And I go, yes, you are. And that's how you kick off your day, to know that I have my belief in you. I have belief in you, and I want to support you. Yes, Ava, you are fabulous.
Indeed, she is. And I am fabulous, and you are fabulous, and everyone watching, you are fabulous. But and down below, it just changed. But down below was the banner that showed. It'll be back. There it is. ATM, SharonLechter.com. That is incredible, because we were talking about being stuck. We're talking about mindset. We're talking about people with problems of any age, but we were talking about young people and things. And some people are like, I just hate where I'm at. I hate my life. I hate everything that's going on, and it's so hard. And what you're saying is, if nothing else, they could tune in and get a positive message each day. I mean, because this is really the crux of the matter. If you don't do something to feel positive, you're not going to be positive. I mean,
And those people that are hating their life and they're feeling this, but they're filling their brain with negativity. And it's so hard to break out of that, because it's like you're wallowing in it, and it's like self-propagating. And so you have to stop and say, okay, I don't like where I am, but I'm going to do something about it. Like I've shared for years the definition of worry. To worry is to pray for what you do not want. Now, I happen to be a champion worrier, but when I saw that definition, it really helped me so much in my own life. And I share it around the world, and I get people all the time reaching out to me, because it brings it home to you. Because we get into these worry storms, which is negative. We're worried about something happening. And so I say, when you get into one, stop and say, I'm not going to focus on what I don't want. I'm going to change my mindset and focus on what I do want. And it's magical, because you start focusing on the positive. Get rid of that negativity and focus on the positive.
Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the missing aspects. I mean, some of the Napoleon Hill stuff that kind of got sanitized or glossed over in the years. The idea about vibrating and frequency, and the fact that we attract birds of a feather flock together, so that if you're thinking a negative thought, you're broadcasting negativity and then getting it back. I mean, you're just kind of co-creating the same mess over and over and over again.
That's right. Imagine yourself. One of the things in Outwitting the Devil, and you want to talk about, but talks about controlling your environment. So think of yourself in a room that is the funeral of a child. Okay. Everybody that just listened to this, you immediately went, right? You felt down. You feel that the vibration of the energy in that sadness, it can't help but impact and penetrate your mindset. Versus you're going somewhere and there's a party and people are dancing and laughing. All right. You're going to soak up those environments. And so that's where you're taking your feet to, where you're walking in, right? But you're doing the same thing every single day with your mind. What are you listening to? What's playing in the background? What are you reading? What is kidding? Are you filling your brain with negativity and stress and strife? Are you filling your brain with imagination and positivity? Because that's what allows your brain to open up and identify opportunities or create new opportunities for yourself.
So people are either looking at where they're stuck and creating more stuck, or attracting more stuck, or manifesting, or however you want to put it. They're perpetuating the very thing they don't want. And on top of that, if they are negative thinking, then they're squirting those hormones and neurochemicals that depress the immune system, create more stress. And when you're not feeling on top of the world, and when your body creates disorder or disease, then you're not making better decisions. So you're kind of just putting yourself in this rabbit hole of, or quagmire of, negativity. Whereas if you do something like start the morning with "I am fabulous," or you go to Sharon's ATM and you start giving yourself that lift, then you can begin to move it in a different direction, because you start, instead of spiraling down, you start spiraling up.
That's right. I mean, I am in my first book with the foundation, 3 Feet from Gold. I share the personal success equation. And you can go to personalsuccessequation.com and get a workbook that I put together. But it really starts with P plus T, your passion and your talent. And that's all about you. It's all about school, your experience. You know, my passion was, I was mad we weren't teaching kids about money in school. So it came from anger. My talent, many years as a CPA, many years in publishing. And most of us stop there, think we have to do everything on our own, but true success comes from when you include times A, the power of association. Who do you surround yourself with? Do you have a mentor? Mentorship is so important, and your advisors and you have people on your team who are strong where you are weak. And then times A, taking action. How many times are we just numb? We don't take action. We know what we're supposed to do, but we just don't do it. And then the final element is plus F for faith. Faith in yourself, faith in what you're doing, faith that is needed and necessary, and faith that you will succeed. And too many of us, that faith, because of our mindset, is fear. And that fear keeps us from accomplishing great things, because fear either paralyzes us or motivates us. And most of us are paralyzed by fear. The fear is still there, but we need to learn how to recognize it and turn it into energy to motivate you to go to that next level. And that's what so many people, they allow that fear to hold them back. And as a result, they don't reach the level of success that they deserve.
Wow, that's truly poignant. I mean, it's powerful, and it's positive. It gives people something that they need to, or could, begin to address inside themselves to move themselves forward. There's a lot of people, you said, feel stuck, and when people feel stuck, they go, "Yeah, I know I should," as you mentioned, but I don't. I could, but I don't feel like it. They wallow instead of jump into it. Um, Muhammad Ali said, a lot of days said, "I don't feel like training, but if I want to be the world champion boxer that he was destined to become, I need to get out there and train. So I'm not going to let my feelings stop me." And Henry Ford, one of my favorite quotes of Henry Ford was, "I never let what I cannot do prevent me from doing what I can." And so when it comes to this, because everybody talks about their feelings, and I'm all for feeling good, or but when you're not feeling good, how do you get to feel better, or change your mindset or change your feelings so that you take that action?
I love that question. Because the first step you do is you pay attention to who you're hanging out with. Because if you're not feeling good about yourself, you're probably not hanging out with the right people. Because that power of association, I attribute every bit of my success to the power of association. The people around you, are they challenging you? Are they encouraging you, applauding you? Or are they pulling you back? Are they making you feel bad that you're trying to do something and they're not? So it's really important to understand what those influences are around you, because particularly the last few years, a lot of people have been stuck in neutral. And as I said earlier, the mindset about money, I can't afford it. Just think about the impact of that. It gets depressing. You want to turn off the lights and get under the covers. But instead, if you change your mindset from I can't afford it to how can I afford it? Do you feel the difference? That triggers that entrepreneurial spirit. It opens your mindset, and your subconscious goes to work finding innovative ways for you to accomplish your goals. So are you saying I can't? Or are you saying how can I?
That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. We're going to come back and talk more. We got to take a little break for the Los Angeles Tribune, who makes it possible for us to have the show All Things Rex Worldwide and have guests like Sharon Lechter. And by the way, we have Sharon. If you want to get in touch with her, you'll see that banner. You'll also get the ATM again, and we'll be coming right back. So hang tight, and we'll be back in about 50 seconds or so. And we wait. I think somebody's not.
Hello and welcome to the Los Angeles Tribune. Since 1886, our name has been a part of the world of journalism. We've earned a reputation for being a publication that practices integrity, authenticity, and responsibility. For general inquiries, contact today. Thank you on behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune team.
And we're back with Sharon Lechter and with you. And again, you can like the show, you can leave comments, you can ask questions, and please do share this out. You can leave comments during the replay. All of the live links become replay links as soon as the show's done broadcasting. And you can invite friends and share this with the people who are important to you. And I hope that you will, and I hope that you do. And I'm so glad that you're here watching live and in the replay. You know, you're why we do the show in the first place. So thank you. Sharon, this is really powerful and it's profound. And I know it's really helping people out there. Because you said it again before. Now, environment and the people you're hanging around, but you also said, what are you filling your mind with? You know, are you doing some reading or some daily, auto-suggestion or affirmations or something along those lines? In other words, what are your practices in addition to, what are your surroundings that uplift you as opposed to, depress you or cause you to remain stuck? And then you talked about mentorship. And can you talk more about why people need to have a mentor? I think you've done great service already to that. But a lot of people just go, yeah, well, someday when I'm ready or whatever. And they just don't they don't just do it when they need it. They think of it as a luxury as opposed to something that can really benefit them.
Well, a lot of people have this, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not ready for a mentor. You're always ready for a mentor. The issue is what mentor is there to support you. And, a mentor is somebody who's been where you want to go. They've created a path of success. They can help steer you around pitfalls. They can accelerate your pathway to success. And it's really important to understand that, people are afraid to ask for help. And so I always say, instead of viewing it as asking for help, which you kind of think of as a negative, think of it as a compliment to an individual that they have a life experience and business experience that has gotten them success that you want to learn from. And so if you think about that from a standpoint, if it's a compliment to the mentor that you want to learn from them, it's not so much asking for help, it's asking for guidance. And that, just the terminology is something that can change your mindset into understanding it. And there was a poll several years ago, and it was like 73% of people polled agreed that having a mentor was really important and powerful. And only, I think it was around 30% actually had one. And so that tells you, we accept that we need it, but we aren't pulling the trigger. And a lot of it is that I'm not worthy, imposter syndrome. And it's like, go for it. Somebody you ask to mentor you, all they can do is say no. And it's a compliment to them. And so find that mentor that can help you get to where you want to go. Now, there's a difference between coaches and mentors, Rex. And so coaches are very important. They keep you accountable to a predetermined path or plan. I'm not a good coach. I'm a great mentor. A mentor is someone who has been where you want to go. They have a level of success that they can step into your world and customize the journey for you to get to where you deserve to be.
Well, I think you just raised a really important point, and that is, who do you pay attention to, or who do you listen to, or who do you learn from? When you say a mentor is somebody where you want to go, don't you also feel it's important that they started where you start? I mean, in other words, if I go to somebody who inherited all their wealth, they have my experiences, and if I haven't inherited wealth, their experience and my experience are going to be very, very different in how we started out in life. But if I go to somebody who's not, who had nothing and then created their own wealth, wouldn't you say that's the person I should learn from? I mean, as opposed to, I mean, how do you? It's one thing to just pick a mentor. It's another thing to pick one that is a good fit for you.
Well, you want somebody who's learned to create success in the environment that you want to be in. One of the things that drives me nuts, because so many people fall for it. Somebody is out there and they talk about being successful and how they ended up filing bankruptcy, and they made another success and they filed bankruptcy. I'm going, do you really want to learn from somebody who, yeah, there are people who have to file bankruptcy and they get out of it. But if they've done it 2 or 3 times, they haven't learned the lesson. And so make sure you're paying attention to who you're learning from. Somebody who understands and has learned the power of success and reinvestment and the power of assets that keep on giving. They're the gift that keep on giving.
And on top of that, if you're the person seeking a mentor, you need to be teachable. You need to, I mean, I know people, having come from Hollywood, I know people who they take meetings with these big producers or directors or writers, and they say, oh, I like your screenplay, but if you would make these changes, you might get some mileage with it. And then the person goes home and I say, did you make the changes? And they go, no. And I go, why not? And they have this whole litany of why they didn't do it. And I said, you do realize you just wasted this person's time, that when they look at you now, they know that you're not a person that's going to do what they say. So, and that's 98% of the people out there. They want the advice, but then they don't do anything with the advice that they get. So if you're really serious about changing your life, you have to put it into action. And if you've got a mentor worth being a mentee of, then you want to listen to them and do it. Ultimately, you have to listen to yourself, I suppose, but you want to be able to take the advice from them. I mean, for example, you've mentored or at least consulted presidents. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Well, you do. I think what you said is so right. My husband has a term because he's an intellectual property attorney, so he helps help people identify their intellectual property inventions and protect it. And his term is suspend disbelief. So a good mentor will suspend disbelief in anything and help somebody create the next level of success. But a mentee, the person seeking mentorship, also has to be open to the possibilities. There have been clients, not too many, but there've been a couple that I had to basically say, we can't work together anymore because they wouldn't listen. They were so channeled into one way of thinking that I didn't want to take their money because they weren't listening to the guidance that we were sharing. And so you have to be, again, coachable. You have to be teachable. You have to be open to the possibilities, but that comes from having respect for the mentor. All right. Some people, their ego is so big, they can't get past their own stuff to be able to seek that input from someone else.
Wow. Well, and thank you for that, Kathy. But yeah, the interesting thing is a lot of people know what they should do, know that they could do it, and then don't do it, and expect something to happen outside. The externals are going to change somehow, or suddenly there'll be this windfall, as opposed to I'm right now creating my reality, and my mindset either serves me to move forward or it serves to hold me back. I now have this person in front of me, like I have Sharon right here, who's a mentor who knows what she's talking about, and I have the opportunity either to do what she says or not. And the reason why this is important to me is I was 18 years old. I met this mystic in Los Angeles, terrified the crap out of me. And he would say, Rex, here's what you should do. And I would go, okay. And then I would run away and hide. And I never thought he had, pure motives or anything. I was always suspicious, always worried, always concerned, always thought I was being, and he was doing it all for free, I think, which is the other thing that made me really suspicious. Why are you taking this interest in me? I'm not paying you anything. But he genuinely, when I later looked back on it, and we had maintained a friendship through the years until he passed away, he was really just trying to help me. He really just said, there's something in you. But I just did home, I just didn't have the mindset of, yeah, I'm going to do this stuff. So so I've been there. I've been on that side of going, thanks, but nah, and running away. So how
Well,
how
part
do
of it is you have to be invested in the process. That's why a lot of people, when you get something for free, you don't value it. And so it's important, there's can be unsolicited advice, which, I'm pretty good at, and I try not to be, but, or you can seek guidance. So opinions versus guidance. And you want, when I'm working with a client, a mentoring client, I will say things like, have you thought of, or are you open to a new idea? Okay. Because sometimes they're not. And so I stop. But if they're open to a new idea, that is kind of a trigger to their mind to say, oh, let's listen. Right. And I'll say, have you thought of? Okay, let's listen. And so part of it is the communication. Is your mentor communicating to you at a point of respect, or are they dictating to you?
That's a great point. And then there's because I was while you were speaking, I started to think a little bit. Parents and their children. Sometimes, I mean, I'm a parent. I want my children to do well. I more often than not probably put an opinion or lay some kind of I don't want to say guilt trip, but like, hey, you should be doing this or could be doing this, kind of thing on them. Or people do it with their significant others where they really want to help. They're trying to be supportive, but instead of saying, have you considered this, or have you thought that, or have you looked into that, they go, try this. And they prescribe rather than elicit.
Yeah. And you can always say, try this, but I would preface it by, are you open to a new idea?
Oh,
so that in essence, what that is engagement. So by just asking that question, they become a participant in the discussion. So if you just say, have you tried this? That is dictation, you to them. But if you say, are you open to an idea? And they go, yes, all of a sudden it's a two-way conversation.
Oh, that's wonderful. My company, my corporation is Idea Seminars. And so one of my favorite quotes of the world was, a mind stretched to a new idea can never go back to its original dimension, from Oliver Wendell Holmes. So just that question, are you open to a new idea? Are you open to an idea? I love it. I think that's very powerful. And for me, it's very, it makes it's right in there. So, but that's a great way to approach the people who are important to us. That's wonderful.
Well, and you talk about parenting. When I'm talking to parents, particularly of teenagers, I go, are you mentoring them or are you enabling them? Because so many times parents want their kids to have everything they didn't have, and they become enablers. And that means they're taking the power away from their children. As a mentor, you're keeping the power with them and help guide them to make those decisions on their own so that they can stand in their own power.
That's beautiful. Is there another couple of tips or suggestions that you would give for doing that very thing to help empower them instead of enabling them?
Yeah, again, check how you're speaking to them. All right. So if you are asking questions, then you are allowing their mind to open to find answers. So for instance, my comment about we can't afford it to how can we afford it really applies in how you teach your kids. So your kids want something and you go, we can't afford it. Well, then that's just depressing. And they just turn around and go and they want to close the door or slam the door. Instead, say, okay, Johnny, Maria, you want this. How can you afford it? What can you do to earn the money? And that triggers their creativity. And believe me, they can come up with some very creative ways to make money. But what's even better is allow them to earn the money and get whatever they want. And the greatest benefit is you're going to see their self-confidence grow in the process. You've allowed them choice. You've allowed them to set a goal. You've allowed them to achieve that goal, and you're celebrating with them. That's the essence of self-confidence.
That is wonderful. That truly is wonderful. So we've been talking about children, but what about the not so childish or not so children-like, the people who are maybe facing retirement? Same same application of resources, or is it a bit different when you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, or 70s and go, I need to make some money here in order to,
Well, absolutely. As I continue to become more senior myself, one of the comments I get a lot of, I'm too old. And I go, that's just so not true. And there were other studies that came out that said that our brain functioning can be at the highest possible 50 to 90. So you're just never too old to start something new. Just because somebody says you need to retire doesn't mean you need to stop. I say, don't retire, refire. Reframe what you want in your life and start something new. From being an affiliate, as I said earlier, something that you believe in, sharing it with other people and getting a revenue stream, from starting your own business. It's never been easier to start an online business. It's never too late to get started, but you always want to get started. Don't let it pass. Not let another day pass.
Well, that is, that is truly marvelous, truly productive suggestions that people can apply. And I think that's always, the point, is it something that's useful that you can apply? I also, if you go back to Napoleon Hill, he always said that, a lot of people don't make it until they're 40, 50, 60, 70 or beyond. And now with, advances in neuroscience, we have known that our brains don't really even mature until they're about 40. And then they continue. My favorite analogy is the brain is like a jungle. It's a living, thriving organism that continues to grow and flourish as long as you nurture it, and if you use it or lose it kind of thing. And we're still combating this idea that if you're older, you're heading more towards senility than you are toward, staying cogent and bright and sharp and alert and being able to do everything as if somehow we're helpless. And I do think that that's part of a societal myth that is, designed to pretty much keep us helpless and hopeless whenever they can. You're either too young, or you're too old, or you're too broke, or you're too this, or you're not the right political party, or the right religious, or the right color, or the right something. And all of those things really don't matter when your mindset is right and your heart is in the right place, as I think you would say, right?
Well, I think, as well as control over your environment, Rex, it's also control over your time. Are you spending time and let it go by, or are you investing your time in being productive and creating a future? And I know this personally, because I've had this issue in the last few years where you look back and you think, okay, I'm well down the runway of my life. And you can look backwards and feel sadness for what you didn't do or what you didn't accomplish. But that doesn't help anybody.
Right.
That just holds you there. It stymies you. So instead of looking back, say, look at all the wisdom I've gained, all the experience I've had, the successes, the mistakes, the learning opportunities. And I am so enriched by the life I've led. What is amazingly possible for the future that's left of me, and to make use of every single day, and to realize, particularly the last few years, as some of your audience may know, I lost my youngest son almost 10 years ago. And it put me into a world of numbness and living life in neutral. And it took me a few years to get out of that, to realize that I still had more to do. And it was like his voice in my ear saying, get over it, Mom. You're still here for a reason. There's more for you to do. And in the last few years, a lot of people have been stopped due to COVID, illness, financial setback, divorce, death in their family, as in my case. The issue is you're still here, and you're still here for a reason. And what you've been through, all the positive things and all the negative, have created who you are today. And you have the unique opportunity to help other people coming through that are facing the same issues that you faced. And what a gift that you can give to the world and to those individuals by sharing and allowing them to understand how you continue moving forward. And, when you give the gift of hope to someone else, your own hope rises along with it.
Wow, that is truly powerful. What you said at first, about people look back in their time and they regret it. The folly of people is amazing. In some cases, they go, I've wasted my life. And then they spend the rest of their life regretting that they wasted their life. I mean, perpetuating the very same thing that they did instead of going, whoa, I don't have to do that anymore. And now doing something new and different, which is why, you have the ATM and why you do what you do. One of the concepts that I think is so powerful that you and Robert put forth in Rich Dad, Poor Dad was, and I remember this every single day. I love that you say, it's time. You can say eat leisure. It could be money. It could be, it's the concept of feeder or eater.
Yeah. So assets feed you, liabilities eat you. And it's, it's kind of a simple concept. One of our most controversial messages is your house is not an asset. And It's because it's not an investment asset, because a house, if you live in it, costs you money. It doesn't make you money. Of course, in today's world, a lot of people can make money with Airbnb and that kind of thing. But the issue is understanding, are you going to spend time buying toys that just drain you? Are you going to spend time investing, buying, and building assets that generate income and buy your toys from that income? All right. So we share an example in one of the books about wanting a Porsche. And instead of buying the Porsche, they bought the apartment complex. And that apartment complex generated monthly cash flow each month that paid for the payments of the Porsche. Well, all of a sudden, 5 years down the road, the Porsche's paid off. They have the Porsche and they still have the apartment complex generating money every month. That's a perfect example of paying attention and investing your time in buying, building, creating assets, because those assets become your employees. They work for you. So, and as I said earlier, you're financially free when the income from your assets exceeds your monthly expenses. And again, it's not millions of dollars. It's whatever your living lifestyle is demanding on a monthly basis. Focus on getting assets that generate that kind of passive income each month. And that's when you have the choice of financial freedom.
Oh, that's wonderful. That is truly wonderful. And I oftentimes, I do think about it in terms of the finances, but I also think about it in terms of my time. Am I feeding myself and growing, or am I being eaten by how I spend my time, or my leisure, or my friends, or any of it? They all could be one or the other, in the different areas, of your life. So that concept has been one that I've really, really enjoyed. And I appreciate you.
Well, financial freedom means you have your time back.
Yes, indeed.
Because your assets are working for you. So you have the choice of how to spend your time. That's the greatest gift there is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I've been fortunate. I own my time. So, I love what I do, and it's truly incredible in that regard. Wow, this has been really powerful. Sharon, you brought so much to the table. You have a book now that is recently released, and you want to talk a little bit about that, and then I've got some other questions on the other side. If we go a little bit long, is that okay with you, or do you have a hard stop?
Sure, no problem. And my most recent book is called Exit Rich. It was with Michelle Saller-Tucker and Inc. magazine. And really, it's about people understanding that when they're building a business, we get all excited about our product and selling, and we don't build the structure of the business. All right. And it's very important to build the structure of the business. So we talk about Exit Rich. Whether you sell your business or not, you still want it to be successful. And you want your successful business to become sustainable, scalable, and saleable, whether you choose to sell it or not. And so the boring stuff about the legal structure and the agreements is really the stuff that helps you scale. You want to be able to have the right processes, the right legal structures. And so Exit Rich helps you dissect your company and helps you understand how to build that strong foundation about talking about the people that you have in your business, the processes that you have, the business systems, the proprietary side of things. Where's your intellectual property? How is that intellectual property identified, protected, and leveraged? The patrons, the people that are part of your business. In today's world, many people get excited about their social media presence, but you don't own those names. You want to nurture those individuals in social media. You want to be out there, the lead generation, but nurture them and bring them home to your database. Many companies sell simply from their database and the profits of the company. So all of those things come together. We talk about the 6 Ps of building a strong business that can be successful, sustainable, scalable, and saleable.
That is incredible advice. And one of the reasons why that's very important to me, and I think that the people out there who are in business, in terms of nurturing a database or nurturing their email list or something like that, is on my Facebook profile alone, I had 2 accounts. And both had more than 5,000 friends and tons of followers. And I had bunches of groups and decades of photos. And somebody sabotaged me, took out both profiles like that. And Facebook went, "You're not getting them back." And everything was lost. I mean, none of them had been converted to anything. And I stayed off Facebook for about a half a year. And people said, "Could you get back on because of teaching? We want you to be able to teach in Facebook groups and stuff." So I got back on. And every now and then I go, "Oh, I forgot about this friend." I called somebody today that I hadn't invited back to Facebook in a year because I just didn't think about it. So what you're saying, if you're running a business or you want to stay connected, don't rely on the social media out there to be around forever. Cultivate your own, I guess, tribe or contacts or associations so that you can stay in touch if anything goes south.
Well, it's there's something called goodwill when you sell a business, and that's the valuation of your business that's not on your balance sheet. It's the goodwill is the brand valuation. The what people respect and love about you may not be on your balance sheet. It's, if you think about the intangible asset valuation of the brand Coca-Cola or the brand Apple, right? The 2 largest intangible assets we have. And they're 0 on the balance sheet. So you have to understand that when you're building your business, you need to identify those things and you need to highlight that's the proprietary side of your business. And so 40 years ago, Rex, Fortune 500 companies were 85% bricks and mortar, 15% intangible. And that is more than flipped now. Close to 90% of today's Fortune 500 companies' valuation is intangible. The other 10% is fixed assets. And that's because the world we live in, the internet, and the fact that the world is, you think about Airbnb, one of the largest hospitality companies, owns no hotels. Uber, one of the largest transportation, they own no cars. And so that's the Amazon, right? All of them, they have tremendous intangible asset valuation of the company. And so do you, every one of you in your company, you have intangible value in intellectual property. You just need to identify it, protect it, and leverage it.
God, that's great. That is beautiful. A few more questions. One, what would you say is the main takeaway from 3 Feet from Gold when you wrote the book?
Well, the biggest takeaway from 3 Feet from Gold was the personal success equation. I use it in every interview, every talk I give, because when I start working with a mentoring client, I start with that equation, because you have your passion and your talent, you have your associations, your action, and your faith. And usually when somebody's had success and they've plateaued, we go through this, and it's usually their power of association. They have not continued expanding their network. They haven't expanded their reach, and or the faith. They don't have the confidence. They don't have they feel like they've gotten to where they are and they don't know how to get to the next level. And that power of association and faith, they go hand in hand. When you have the right people around you, you have the right mentor, then the faith goes up, because when you have a bad day, they won't let you stay there. And so analyze, go to personalsuccessequation.com and go through that workbook. Analyze your associations, analyze your passion and your talent too. But let's see how we can expand your associations to give you more self-confidence and more depth to your organization.
Wow. Powerful. And grace. Would you like to talk about grace? Because we had a little bit of a conversation prior to the show, and I love that. That's so beautiful.
Well, one of the things over the last few years, I've had, I've just been so blessed with so many friends and incredible people in my community. And there's a word that keeps coming back to me about living life with grace. So I'm actually working on a book. I'm not sure if I'm ever going to publish it, but it's really about living with grace, because, we've all had things happen to us that are not pretty. And we have a choice. We can react with anger, or we can say, okay, that happened. What am I going to learn from it? And focus on doing good in the world. And it's something that, nobody wants to admit that they've had situations happen to them that made them angry, but we all have. And so living life with grace is understanding to keeping negativity out of your life, making choices to reduce negativity and increase positivity in your life. And I think right now the world could use a lot more grace. And people, and part of the lesson for me was learned in the way that I don't want anybody else to learn it. When we lost our son, everything changed in my world. Things that used to upset me, I'd lose sleep over, I'd get so tense and stressed out about, they don't bother me anymore. Because when you've had that level of grief in your life, you realize that we're all here for a very short amount of time. And are you going to spend your life in stress and sadness and grief? Or are you going to spend your life looking to how you can live a life with grace and add value to other people's world?
Wow. Wow. You embody so much of one of your own principles, but also what you've learned from all the different things that you've done and from what you've applied in your own life and from life experiences. I mean, it's truly an unprecedented opportunity to be able to discuss this with you here. And want to keep doing it again and again and go on for hours and hours. But it is truly, I think, so important for people to those who are watching now live and in the replay to understand that you can have it all. You can have that big life, right? And that is your mission. And when we think about like Napoleon Hill, he'd say, go the extra mile and add value to other people, and and understand that where you put your attention is an investment, in yourself or in your future, and and I just really I want to give you, one, I want to come back to the ATM, but I also want to give you the last word to say whatever you would like to say that's on your heart, to the audience, to the people who are listening and watching right now, because this is truly valuable and very, very powerful. So thank you, Sharon.
Well, thank you, Rex. And I just want to applaud you for putting this show on. And I know Ava's in the background. Thank her for her support.
Yeah.
When you say you really truly can have it all, first you have to start by defining what is all. Okay. What's your definition of all, not somebody else's. Okay. You can have it all if you define what that is. All right. It's your choice to be grateful and treasure what's in your life. It's also your choice to be unhappy and to want more and to be envious. Gosh, it's been several months, but the old me finally learned what FOMO means when on text and on social media, fear of missing out. And somebody came along and they posted JOMO, joy of missing out. And I thought, oh, we need more of that, right? Define what's all for you. Define what you want in your life and make it happen, right? There are so many avenues I could have gone in my life. And if I focus on the avenues I did not take, then I'm being negative. Often people ask me, what would you say to a 16-year-old Sharon or a 21 Sharon? And I get asked that question a lot. And my answer is, I'd probably say, don't stop. But most importantly, I go, I don't want to focus on that, because if I hadn't had all my successes and all my mistakes and learning opportunities, I wouldn't be who I am today. And I have a 42-year marriage. I have beautiful children, beautiful grandchildren. Yes, I'd probably like to go back and not lose a child. But focus on you today. Focus on what God has given you. Focus and be grateful for what you have. Don't focus on what you don't have. And know that you have a choice every single day on how you focus in the first 5 seconds of the day, like Mel Robbins, but with my ATMs, focus on positivity, and it stays with you all day. Focus on adding value to other people's world. Focus on relationships. My husband and I, first thing every single morning, give each other a giant hug. Focus on adding value to your life by adding value to other people's lives. And your life will be enriched and you will have it all.
Wow, that is outstanding. And I said I'm giving you the last word. Now I'm talking. I have a friend who said back in 1980 or something, he said, a kiss at the end of the day is great, but a kiss in the morning lasts the entire day. And I was like, wow, I've always remembered that and remembered, and that's kind of like everything not everything, but what you're saying, it's a choice of how you begin your day, how you consider your life, how you evaluate things, what you focus on. It is all your choice. And that is truly beautiful.
Well, thank you. And I think, we all, as I'll repeat this, I said this earlier, don't be hard on yourself. We are all where we are because of the choices we made before today. But you can't make a different choice because you're here. So let it go. And if you want something different, start making different choices today. And all of us are here to support you. Rex is here to support you. Los Angeles Tribune is here to support you. Sharon Lechter is here to support you. You're not alone. And so allow us to support you in creating the next best chapter of your life.
Oh, that is beautiful. So be sure to reach out to Sharon. We'll put that on the crawl below so that they can see you at SharonLechter.com, and then also the ATMs. We want to make sure that people have access to that. There we go. There's connect with Sharon at SharonLechter.com. Do that. And the ATM, you will get that one coming up. And then we want to go back and get the workbook that you had. So follow Sharon's daily abundance tips and mentoring at ATM at SharonLechter.com. And there we go. And visit the successequation.com.
Personalsuccessequation.com. Yep.
And if you missed it, you can watch it in the replay because it will be there. And we thank you for watching. Please do go ahead and continue to leave comments in the replay. Thank you for watching so very much, for your comments, for everything, for being here, and for sharing out the show. Because I can't share it to everybody, but you certainly can help, and you do, and I appreciate that so much. Sharon, this has been marvelous. I'd love to do it again when you're available. It's great. We've gotten to share platforms. We recently were in the Neuroscience Summit with a Tribune together and talking for a little bit and different things. So I can't tell you how much I enjoy you and your offerings and all the things that you've done in the world. So thank you so much for being here and being on All Things Rex Worldwide, and taking your time and gracing the audience with your wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you, Rex. And I really appreciate all you're doing to support others as well. So I applaud you. Thank you.
Thank you. So kind. I'll be back in just a moment. So I hope you enjoyed the show, and I hope you continue to share it out, like it, leave comments, and all that sort of thing. And we're on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Periscope, Roku, and wherever else we are. So please go ahead and take that. Visit me at rexsikes.com. And I got to tell you a little bit about my book. It's Life on Your Terms. If you go and get the book from Amazon, there's a little website right there, rexsikes.com/book. It'll give you all the instructions for what you need to do. Go and order the book, get the hardcover or the softcover book, and I will gift you a bonus training valued at $497 called The Mastery Loop. It's on how you master your mindset, your emotions, your speech, your self-talk, your behaviors, so that you can skyrocket the results that you get, whether that's your relationships, your finances, your own personal happiness quotient, or success. So go ahead and get Life on Your Terms. It's a powerful book. It's broken down into tiny little bite-sized steps that you can apply and transform your life. And I promise you'll enjoy the book. So many people have, and so many people are. And as I always say, in closing out the show, I go, if you consider something a problem, it'll be a problem. If you consider something a blessing, it is a blessing. So with that, celebrate it all. Celebrate everything.